There's a terrifying possibility no one wants to admit, and it's been building in plain sight since episode 1. What if Morrow isn't just another survivor in this nightmare? What if he's the spark that sets the entire alien Earth universe on fire? Because when you trace his journey, you start to notice something disturbing. He's been underestimated, pushed aside, treated like background noise while Wendy, Joe, and Cavalier take center stage. But that's exactly the kind of character who turns into the ultimate wildcard. Think about it. In every alien story, it's not the ones with the most power who change the game. It's the ones who adapt. The ones who learn. The ones who get fed up enough to break the rules. And Morrow, he's been taking notes. Here's the forbidden knowledge. Every system in Alien Earth, from Prodigy's experiments to Wendy's hybrid connection to the xenomorphs, runs on control. Control the hybrids, control the soldiers, control the fear. But Morrow is the one person who's slowly realizing that control is an illusion. He's seen Cavalier bend morality into ash. He's seen Joe sacrifice lives for love. He's seen Wendy walk the razor's edge between empathy and destruction. And all of that has been teaching him the same lesson: if you want to survive, you don't play by the rules, you burn them. Imagine it. Morrow finally snaps. Maybe it's after one betrayal too many. Maybe it's after watching another soldier get ripped apart. Maybe it's just the moment he realizes that no one is coming to save them. And instead of running, he decides to flip the table. To take the fire Prodigy tried to bottle up, and unleash it on everyone. But here's the twist. The writers have been planting seeds for this exact scenario. Every time Morrow has stepped back from the chaos, it hasn't been weakness. It's been positioning. He's been waiting, holding his cards, letting the hybrids and humans tear each other apart, until there's nothing left to stop him. And that's what makes him so dangerous. Because while Wendy and Joe are chained by their love for each other, while Cavalier is blinded by his obsession with control, Morrow has nothing left to lose. And that means he can do the one thing none of them will dare to: burn it all down. So the real endgame of Alien Earth may not be the hybrids vs humanity, or even Wendy vs Joe. It may be Morrow vs everything. And if that happens, this show won't just push the Alien franchise into new territory. It'll detonate it. So how exactly does Morrow turn from background survivor into the match that ignites the inferno? The answer lies in the tools he's been quietly gathering. First, Wendy's hybrid bond. Everyone else sees it as a fragile connection, something dangerous, something to be handled delicately. But Morrow, he sees opportunity. Wendy believes she's the only one who can speak to the xenomorphs. But what if Morrow figured out a way to hijack that bond? He's been watching, he's been listening, and he knows enough to realize that language isn't just words. It's intent. If Morrow can learn just a fraction of Wendy's code, he could redirect the monsters themselves. Not as pets, not as allies, but as weapons. Imagine the terror when the xenomorphs turn not against Wendy's enemies, but against everyone. Second, Prodigy's tech. Boy Cavalier has spent the entire season showing us the terrifying toys Prodigy has hidden away: synthetic bodies, experimental implants, neurological uploads. To Cavalier, their assets. To Morrow, their potential firepower. If he can infiltrate the labs, crack the systems, or even steal just one piece of tech, he could tip the balance instantly. Prodigy built a cage for the hybrids, but in Morrow's hands, that cage could be turned inside out, a weapon designed not to contain but to destroy. Third, the soldiers themselves. People forget this, but Morrow has always been a bridge between the foot soldiers and the chaos above them. While Wendy and Joe operate in their emotional bubble, while Cavalier plays God, Morrow has been boots on the ground. He knows what it's like to bleed for nothing. He knows what it's like to watch friends die pointlessly. And that means he knows exactly what buttons to press to turn disillusioned soldiers into his personal army. Desperation makes people follow anyone who promises survival. And Morrow, he could promise something even more seductive: revenge. Now here's the dangerous part. If Morrow combines all three, Wendy's bond, Prodigy's tech, and the soldiers' loyalty, he wouldn't just be another player in the game. He'd become the game. The fragile balance between hybrids, humans, and aliens would collapse in an instant. The dominoes would fall not because of Wendy's empathy or Cavalier's obsession, but because Morrow finally decided to flip the script. And let's be honest, this isn't a theory born out of thin air. The show has been telegraphing it. Every scene where Morrow is quiet when others are loud. Every look he gives when chaos erupts. Every moment he refuses to fully align with Wendy, Joe, or Cavalier. That isn't cowardice. It's patience. He's waiting for the right time to strike. The moment when everyone else is too distracted by their own wars to notice that the real war has already begun. Because if there's one truth Alien has taught us across every movie, every spin-off, every prequel, it's that the corporations and the survivors always believe they're in control, until they're not. Morrow could be the proof of that truth. The one man who decides that if survival means burning it all, then let it burn. And once the fire starts, nothing in this universe will be left untouched. If Morrow truly lights the fuse, the fallout won't just be catastrophic, it will be irreversible. First, let's talk about Wendy and Joe. Their entire arc has been about clinging to love in a world built on betrayal. But if Morrow weaponizes Wendy's bond with the xenomorphs, her trust shatters instantly. Suddenly, the one thing that made her special, her connection, her empathy, becomes the very tool that destroys her family. Joe, already questioning whether Wendy's hybrid identity makes her more alien than human, will see this as the final straw. In his eyes, Wendy won't just be his sister anymore. She'll be the gateway to the apocalypse. That fracture, that emotional wound, could be the single most devastating loss in the entire series. Second, the hybrids themselves. For so long, they've been treated as pawns, prodigies, experiments, boy cavaliers' toys, tragic children who never asked to be born. But if Morrow flips the board, suddenly they're not pawns anymore, they're casualties. He could sacrifice them, twist them, even offer them up to the xenomorphs just to prove a point. It's the coldest kind of strategy, but also the most effective. Because in Morrow's mind, the hybrids aren't family, they're leverage, and leverage is meant to be burned. Third, the xenomorph hierarchy. For decades, fans have asked, are the xenomorphs purely instinctual killers, or is there a deeper intelligence guiding them? Alien, Earth has already pushed this by giving Wendy the ability to speak with them. But if Morrow steps in, he could unleash something far more dangerous, a scenario where the aliens aren't just reacting, but actively choosing. And once that door is opened, there's no closing it. If Morrow manipulates them into serving his rebellion, he may accidentally teach them something they've never had before: ambition. And once the aliens start hunting not for survival, but for conquest, that's the true endgame. And finally, the wider universe. Think about what happens if Prodigy falls, if the hybrids are slaughtered, if Wendy and Joe are broken beyond repair. Who steps into the vacuum? The Weyland-Yutani model tells us corporations always come back, hungrier and crueler than before. But what if, in this timeline, it isn't a corporation that rises? What if it's Morrow? A survivor, a soldier, a man who burned the old world and built a new one from its ashes. He wouldn't be a CEO in a boardroom. He'd be a warlord with monsters at his side. And for the first time in the Alien franchise, humanity wouldn't just be fighting aliens. They'd be fighting one of their own, who decided he'd rather be a god than a man. That's why Morrow's endgame is so terrifying. Not because it kills people. Not because it burns down Prodigy. But because it changes the rules forever. Wendy's empathy, Joe's loyalty, Cavalier's arrogance. None of it matters if someone like Morrow decides the only way forward is through fire. The question now isn't whether Morrow will break free. The question is, when he does, will there be anything left of alien Earth worth saving?